This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Eddie Aragon, welcome to The Other Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling. You're in New Mexico. He's the star of New Mexico Radio. He is a good friend of the show, and I am grateful for the fact that Eddie is talking to us because he lives near Zorro Ranch. And whenever things get slow, I want to talk about Zorro Ranch because I can't believe it exists. I can't believe it's in the same dimension that we are. Is it possible, Eddie Aragon, in New Mexico, the Zorro Ranch, Jeffrey Epstein's ranch, is in a different dimension?
Oh, I like that, Walter. That's very good. Good evening. Tuesday night riffing here. Was it Monday? I mean, you know, the weeks go by and we're still on Zorro Ranch. It is, and I'll tell you why. Because Zorro Ranch in and of itself is confusing. I think that it is like the fifth dimension. It's not just the age of Aquarius. It's not just anything that is, just normal. There might be a different sphere. Absolutely. And by the way, go ahead.
And then I'll shut up because whenever anybody tells me what Jeffrey Epstein has done in his 60-something years, it is physically impossible for one human being to have done all of that. Many have said he was a construct. There were many people filtering their lives and their efforts through him. He didn't do all of that. He couldn't have done all of that. And therefore, he was a construct. Many different people filtering information to him, initiatives through him, and he was the front man.
Walter, he probably fancies himself the Alpha and the Omega. He's omniscient. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. Yeah, and you're absolutely right to say that there's no way that one person could have done that without a huge machine behind him. And by the way, I just want to say I'm showing up tonight, Walter, and happy Father's Day to you. Loved hearing about your 3 wonderful daughters, and it's nice to hear that there's a fight for such a wonderful man who's done such good things, and not just as a father, but also in radio. And you're kind of a bit of a father in radio now. I also have a cat. I'm not even sure if I've told you this, but his name is Alan, and Edgar Allan Poe. So if you ever need any cat pointers, he's sitting right next to me, and I almost wanted to call tonight Black Cat Theater. I just recently returned from, of all places, have you ever been to Louisiana? Ever been to Louisiana?
I went to a couple conventions in New Orleans, which is the reason most Northerners go to New Orleans. By the way, my AnyDesk crashed. And I did something I always wanted to do. This is the sort of thing you would do. I always looked at the map of Louisiana, and I saw the end of the boot, the very end of the boot. And I had like an afternoon to kill at a convention, which means I had no interest in actually going to the convention. And I got in a rent-a-car, and I drove on that one black line that takes you to the end of the boot. I wanted to see what is at the end of that boot. And it was fascinating because once you get about 10 miles to the end of the boot, you are below water. It is, as you know, much of Louisiana is below water. And the road was built, but you're surrounded by ground. You're tunneling through it. You're not in a tunnel, but you're tunneling through water surrounded by very high growth, very high vegetation. There is no view. There's nothing. But then, wait. Over there was a sign that said something about a restaurant in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a southern swamp, one of those places where people go to throw bodies at 2 a.m. and get rid of their landlord. Yeah. It's one of those places where the swamp will eat that memory, as the Southern writers would write. It will eat that memory. And I said, well, I've got to see what this is. It was a restaurant that could not exist any place except Louisiana. It was ribs and Chinese. Ribs and Chinese in this. It was made to look like a pagoda, but it sold ribs and Chinese because he was from Louisiana and she was Japanese. So this married couple solved all their debates and made a ribs and Chinese restaurant, and the Chinese was really good. Then I got back on the road, and I continued to get to the end of the boot of Louisiana. And what's there is, if you kept driving, you would be in a boathouse. It takes you into a boathouse. There's nothing else there. There were no boats there, but it was a boathouse. And if you kept driving, you'd be in water. You'd be in the ocean. That's what's there.
And all the waterways, they're all called bios that are down there. And you know him well, of course, of Howard Stern. He actually had a serial killer call into, and it was the unsolved serial killer of New Orleans. So thank God you got out of there. Back in, I think it was like 98 or 99.
Really?
This guy called in. Oh, yeah. It's hugely famous. And it actually got legitimized later on that was very likely, I think they said, a guy by the name of Russell Elwood, since deceased, I believe. But he was confessing to 12 murders, 12 women in the New Orleans area. So, or as they say it down there, Nolans, in the House of the Rising Sun. So I went down to Monroe, Louisiana. The reason why I brought this up is because I wanted to talk with you just for a moment, because there's this famous movie that just came out. It's called Backrooms. And you know what is so incredible? Yeah, you've heard about it, right?
Yes.
You've heard about this movie, Backroom.
Yeah, I know.
It was kind of bizarre because you were talking about malls.
Yeah.
And this Monroe is so incredibly depressed. It was one mall after another, after one vacant space, after another vacant space. I swear some of these places must have been vacant 10, 15, 20 years. I'm like, what a great setting for all of these types of movies that are similar to Backrooms. And, we happen to just head on over from Monroe, Louisiana, down to Vicksburg, which, by the way, is a civil war. Over 20,000 people have been down there. We went to this place called the McRaven House, which is a haunted house, and just the unbelievable stories that are down there. And, it was just all, kind of this, sci-fi horror films, which are, you were just talking about alternate universes. Is Zorro Ranch in an alternate universe? Is it part of the same dimension? And you start to get the feeling. I walked into the airport. I'm not even kidding. Sunday morning, Father's Day. We're like, we're going to get there early. There's 4 terminals there. There isn't a single soul that was inside that terminal. Between the vacant malls, the vacant spaces, and everything completely vacant, I walk into a vacant airport of all places. Like, it was scary. And that just, a complete level of loneliness was just, kind of too much. I landed in Shreveport, which is Bossier City, as they say down there. Big casino gambling. Just drove, almost 2 hours down to Monroe. And, I was in the most happening place down there in the Monroe Hotel. And I got to tell you, it was that was all the action that was there in that little city. But I digress just a little bit. I wanted to kind of touch upon, some stuff tonight, because we've talked so much about Zorro Ranch, and thematically, as I just re-embarked on TikTok, Walter, and I do it. I celebrated Father's Day. I'm a father of 2 boys, and they're happening to dabble in a little bit.
How old are they?
Well, they're 11 and 13.
So you're very busy. Why are you hesitant to say that? Are they yours?
Well, we're on such a well-regarded radio station, and
Really?
my radio name is your show is great. I'm going to surprise you soon. And by the way, I guess you like my name so much, Rock of Talk. That is kind of a little bit of a chick magnet in and of itself. So you were talking about chick magnets. Since you like that, can we say the Rock of Talk might be a chick magnet?
Hold on 1 second. I realize I have to be a host. 1 second. It's 44 past the hour with Walter Sterling. You and I are talking to Eddie Aragon. Eddie Aragon is a brilliant broadcaster in New Mexico. That's nice. But why I like him is that he's about a few miles from Zorro Ranch, which was Jeffrey Epstein's ranch, where he did, apparently, the very worst things. And yet there has been precious little investigation, digging up, bulldozering of Zorro Ranch. Very little. And that, to me, is a great mystery, because apparently that's where he made... What's that sound? What is that? What was that sound? Are you blowing your nose or something? Eddie? Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
What are you doing?
I'm here, yeah.
Were you blowing your nose? What were you doing?
Oh, no. No, I'm not. I'm listening to you. Is there some strange sound coming through? Are we being interrupted? Maybe we're being interrupted because we shouldn't be speaking about these things.
Well, let me make it clear. You may be being interrupted. Now, many protections. Listen to me. This is apparently the ranch where, if there was human sacrifice and if there was human meat being processed into human jerky, it would have taken place at Zorro Ranch. That's why I find Eddie Aragon so amazing, because he lives near there. And when there started to be trouble, apparently some of the workers, some of the workmen there, some of the lower-level utility people started calling him and saying, there's stuff going on here. There's stuff going on here. And, of course, that's what you and I want to hear. We want to hear about really horrible things taking place. There's no reason to go to Scary Movie or any other terrifying movie when you can hear Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch stories. I just wanted to reintroduce you, Eddie. Now, you were telling me about your kids. What's the problem with the name? I do not use my real name on the air either, for the same reason, which is that I have 3 daughters.
Can you hear me good? I want to make sure that you can hear me good.
What are you doing? Don't fool around with the phone. I can hear you just fine.
I haven't messed with it at all. Okay, good. I want to make sure.
Yeah, you've done
Okay, so I want to say, when I jumped back onto TikTok, I was getting these threads, and I think a lot of this stuff is just, coming from, my interest in my work at Zorro Ranch, and then doing what I've done with the Epstein files, which has created, this massive following in interviews. And so one of those things is happened to pop in, and this is the Madeleine McCann disappearance. And here's how this relates. And a lot of people
wait. You know better than to say Madeleine McCann without explaining who she is.
Madeleine McCann is a young lady, all of 3 years old, who disappeared in Portugal. And let me tell you the story, because
it's an amazing story.
Important.
Go ahead and tell it. It's an amazing story.
All right. So this is one of the darkest rabbit holes right now on the internet. All right. Because it's also became a Netflix series. This was in a Portuguese resort. There was a missing toddler, and Jeffrey Epstein's fixer, of course, is Ghislaine Maxwell. And they all get stitched together in this, conspiracy sort of dream, really, at this point. This is way back when, May 2007, in Praia da Luz, Portugal. And her parents were Kate and Jerry McCown. They get their 3-year-old into bed in their holiday apartment, and her 2 siblings are sleeping beside her. And then they head off to dinner with friends, and they went to a tapas bar and all that, hang out. And, this is the kind of thing that, half the parents at any resort have done, right? You take your kids to Disneyland. Oh, we're going to have an adult night. We're going to do this type of thing. And I'm going to talk about Disneyland at the very end tonight. So they kind of check back in shifts throughout the evening. Okay, this, by the way, came out on Netflix 2014, 2015, but this is reemerged now. All right, so this is out there. So this is, they go in shifts. You go check. No, you go check. I'll have some. I know, whatever. Until they don't find her. Just an empty bed and an open window. Okay, so all of a sudden the town shuts down. They call it an abduction. The media goes crazy. Right? There's the first thing is oh, where'd she go? What happened? And this isn't just over a couple of days or 2 or weeks. This years. This is still yet unsolved. And the suspects range from, burglars, predators, trafficking gangs, all sorts of stuff. And these Kate and Jerry McCann are also suspects in all this. And before everything is basically just completely dismissed, okay? And they're cleared. So you fast forward to, some German investigators that have now come forward, and they say their prime suspect is this sex offender, right? Like Jeffrey Epstein, Christian Bruckner, not a billionaire socialite girlfriend like Ghislaine Maxwell. But here's where it's going crazy online right now. In all of this, the TikTok world, Reddit, Facebook, this witness sketch has now come out of a mystery woman in Portugal, okay? And she looks uncannily like Ghislaine Maxwell walking with Madeleine McCann. Yeah.
All right, so stop. So Ghislaine, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, when I say that to Eddie, it's okay because we're friends, and he knows I'm trying to help the story, and I'm trying to help move it along because he has the best stories. Madeleine McCann was a beautiful little blonde girl who was with her parents on some cruise or something and disappeared. Not a clue. And part of the problem is that the parents were oddly not upset. Maybe we misread it, but they seemed oddly cool about it, and there were way too many pieces missing to the story. Notably, this is a 3-year-old left in the cabin or a hotel. Was it a boat captain or a hotel room? Were they in a? I can't.
This is where.
Okay.
This is where it gets crazy. Can you hear me?
Right. Wait. So they left her in their room, and they went to dinner. She's 3. They left her alone in the room. They went to dinner, and then son of a gun, when they came back, she wasn't there. All right, you and I are on the other side of midnight, talking to Eddie Aragon, New Mexico broadcaster, lives near Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch. What a loser name, Zorro Ranch. All right, Eddie, do you have other gossip?
Well, I want to finish the story with the McCanns.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think this is important because this goes into all these, wormholes about children disappearing and child trafficking. And, this is just another example. And these things get unsolved for a long period of time. So as I mentioned, I'm back on TikTok. The woman who is in the video with likely Madeleine McCann, and it's like I 90% verify that it's Madeleine McCann, looks exactly like Ghislaine Maxwell. And so the internet's going crazy right now. So here's when the stuff has now come out with the 3.5 million files that have been released, right? The original witness described an Australian-sounding woman, which you can mistake, certainly Ghislaine, for sounding Australian if you don't know accents. I know how much you love Australian. By the way, thanks for having Rachel on. That was fabulous. She is unbelievable in what she can achieve.
Yes, last night we had...
Nobody knows about it. I think you're the first one.
Yeah, last night we had Rachel Vaughn on. Rachel Vaughn lives in Adelaide, Australia, and she explained that from birth she was abused in fairly horrible ways to the point where I'm surprised she is alive or sane enough to have a phone conversation. She was abused by her father. Her father was the worst abuser. She witnessed children being murdered. She witnessed adults being murdered, sacrifices, satanic, part of a cult. She was part of just, I have no idea how that woman's alive.
So here we are.
In fact, and then I'll shut up. In fact, I'm going to replay that conversation because it was so stunning. We'll replay that tonight. Anyway, go ahead, Eddie.
So the side-by-side, the memes and all this, and now it's coming in, it's like, okay, Australian, English, it looks just like her, Ghislaine Maxwell. So the question is now on the internet table, did Ghislaine Maxwell snatch Maddie McCann or Jeffrey Epstein? So the 2026 drops that have now come out include a 2009 statement from a witness who claims they saw a woman who reminded them of Maxwell hustling a little girl who looked like an older Madeleine through an American parking lot. So that's 2 years later. So that's 5 years old versus when she was abducted, which is 3 years old. Because again, no names, no photos, no corroboration, just a memory written down years later. But it's been enough because now they've actually brought out video on all this. And authorities right now on both sides of the Atlantic say, hey, flat out, that's not evidence. But the internet is saying completely something different. Here's the crazy thing. Ghislaine Maxwell was in Portugal at the very same time. Yep.
Now, when you say...
where this gets lit up.
Right, I believe it. So when you say, and whenever anybody says the internet gets lit up, where exactly does that happen?
Social media,
Right.
I guess the Facebook. I'm only on TikTok, and I only get on because, it's entertaining.
Well, I'm only on That's not true. I'm mostly on TikTok because it's highly entertaining. And
Yes.
and I get it. All right, listen, you're a great friend of the show. Eddie Aragon, somebody wants to hear you on the radio, wants to get in touch with you. How do they do that?
rockoftalk.com. That's rockoftalk.com. I do want to touch on John Bonet next time, as well as the Disneyland disturbances as well. And, keep those children safe out there, folks. That's all I can say. Walter, thanks for having me.